Hi guys, Hellville here. Okay, so I'm going to play the video that I recorded for you guys earlier, just going through my whole medical odyssey that I went through to eventually reach my important diagnoses that I've talked about a little bit on previous streams. Hi, Bruce. Oh, actually, before I continue yammering on, can you hear me? Is my sound on? I tested it earlier, but then it like kicked me out of the studio, so I'm not entirely certain. So hey Resmataz, how you doing? I'm actually gonna see if also while I'm waiting for you guys to confirm if you can hear me, can you guys also see the comments there? Oh, sound is good. Yes. Okay. Success. Okay. So I am going to switch over to my video that I recorded earlier, and I will be in the chat with everybody and just kind of, commenting where needed. Oh, do we have a visitor? Oh my goodness. Anyway, also, do excuse me. I didn't realize that part of the way through the video that I had this in the background. This is what I was using to hold my mic earlier, and now I have a boom mic thingy majig. I don't even know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm learning, guys. So, anyways, hey Wallace, hey Just Jen, hey Bella. Yes, so I will press play on that now. So, yes. Hi guys, Hellville here. Okay, so this is my third time starting this recording. I've never pre-recorded anything before, so please bear with me. I don't really want to stop again, so if I like forget something and have to go backward, I might just leave it in. So I apologize if it's a little hard to kind of keep along with. But keep up with is the right word that I was looking for. I don't know why my brain blanked on that. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this recording for you guys while live streaming it. And I'll be in the chat with you guys while that is going on. And then when this pre-recorded video finishes, I'm going to hop on live with you guys and I'm going to read some medical Reddit stories. So that way we can all react together in real time and I can like read and see your opinions on screen while I'm reading the Reddit stories. So, okay, for the third time, my medical. Okay, so when I was 5 or 6, do not know what I was, and I have a memory disability, so I have a hard time remembering things to begin with. But I have no idea how old I was. Whatever it was, I got some like small, insignificant wound, like a paper cut or something like that. So apparently I just kept complaining about it. I just complained and complained. And if you've been on previous streams with me, then you know probably that I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So now knowing what I know, possibly I was complaining so much about it because I maybe it was, and I obviously couldn't articulate this at 5 or 6, but maybe it was taking too long to heal, or it wasn't healing properly, or it was more painful than it should have been, or whatever the case may be. So anyway, from that point forward, my parents and then by extension myself tended to minimize my medical conditions or complaints or whatever because they just basically labeled me a hypochondriac. So so there's that. So from that point forward, I also minimized my medical stuff and just assumed it was normal for everybody, which obviously was not the case, but I digress. So in elementary or middle school, I'm not sure exactly when, because again, memory problems. I was diagnosed with ADD, not ADHD. It really bothers me that they combine the two into ADHD because I do not hyper hyperactivity. So that's attention deficit disorder, not attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I could sit still for many hours. What I can't do is concentrate. So that. Um, Throughout my educational career, my parents would always receive report cards that said, pleasure to have in class, really doing well on the exams, never ever hands in homework, incredibly frustrating that I can't give her a higher grade, stuff like that. So, and sometimes gets distracted in class, which is, ADD, fair enough. So anyways, I was medicated for ADD for most of my educational career. Um, so in maybe middle school, I think, and I forgot this in my previous two recordings, so now I'm happy I remembered it. In maybe middle school, I just like I gained a lot of weight. It must have been when puberty hit. I don't know exactly. But I did gain a lot of weight. And then I lost weight and then I gained weight. Probably with each growth spurt, I probably like it evened out on me or something. I don't know. I don't remember all of the nitty gritty from those years. I think my brain just like blocked out some of my, my school stuff because it's hey, none of it's some of it's like, yeah, not great. Anyway, so um, the weight starts yo-yoing. In high school, I finally convinced my mom to take me to a podiatrist. Basically, she went to a podiatrist. She ended up having like plantar fasciitis or something. So she got orthotics. And then my dad went to the podiatrist, and I forget what he had, but he also got orthotics. And then my mom took my sister to the podiatrist, and she also got orthotics. And I basically had to beg to be taken to the podiatrist. And when the podiatrist saw me, he was like, "Ooh, you probably should have been the first of your family to see me. Your feet are so flat." I always thought that was normal. I didn't realize that when you exit a pool or something, that you shouldn't see your entire foot. I never knew that. Anyway, um, so I was diagnosed with super flat feet. I mean, it's not really a diagnosis, I guess, but it was noted that I had incredibly flat feet, which if I had a doctor who was paying attention later on, maybe it would have tipped them off, but it didn't. So super flat feet. Also later on in my high school existence, I was diagnosed with GERD. If you know me, you know that I hate acronyms. Hate, 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 hate. Anyway, I think it's gastrointestinal um, reflux disorder or disease or something. Anyway, if you're not sure what GERD is, look it up. Please, and let me know. I forget what it is. But I was diagnosed with that, and basically what had led to that diagnosis was I was having horrific heartburn. And at the time I really didn't know what heartburn was. And so I was getting like my chest just felt like it was on fire inside. And also that there was like this pressure buildup or whatever in there. So diagnosed with GERD, acid reflux. So I was on medication for that. And if I ever skipped my medication for more than like a couple of days, I was in horrible pain again. It's like the acid reflux would come back stronger. Also at that point, in my later high school years, I think I was like 17-ish. My grandparents offered, because I had gained some weight, my grandparents offered to pay for a personal trainer because they wanted me to be skinny, as did my mom, to be fair. So, and probably my dad to some extent. So everyone hydrate. So I lost weight and I was looking good for my senior year. And I had been struggling with weight for like since middle school. So anyway, nothing medical really happened in college necessarily, except for my senior year when I was applying for to go to another school once I graduated with my bachelor's. And I was not going for a higher education degree. It was more so of going for an additional bachelor's degree in a more creative field. Um, so I was applying to go to that school, and trying to basically draw a portfolio. And so I was just like sitting in my apartment, like in crisscross applesauce style for many, many hours, and it would kill my knees, kill. So I want to say like a year or so later, my my knees actually got totally destroyed while playing beach volleyball for many hours a day, every day, when I was on vacation in Jamaica. Also, I had gained a ton of weight, and by the time I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I was at my heaviest of 210 pounds. So, um, not fat shaming in any way, shape, or form. It's just my medical journey. So anyways, there are very few, if any, photos of my graduation from college, which I'm okay with. I did not look good. um, so I did end up getting into that school. And uh, I ended up finishing that school without getting the degree that I was going for because someone came in to talk at one of my classes and they handed out their business card and I got in touch and was like, hey, I'm just wondering, like summer is coming up if you have any internships or internships to hire going on, that maybe I could come in and interview for if you're interested. And she was like, yeah, we actually are looking for an intern to hire. So if you could come in and interview, that would be great. So I did that and she ended up offering me the internship. And because it was an internship to hire, I did end up getting hired, into that job. Um, and so that, was, oh my gosh, I just realized that was there. That's very uncute. Sorry, guys. ADD. Okay, so I also don't take my ADD medication. I do not take that on the weekends because I like to give my brain a little break. Unless I have something like very much where I really need to concentrate. So anyway, um, I got that job, and then because it was a creative field, I realized I didn't need to like concentrate that hard. Um, and so I basically went off of that medication. So the only medication at that point that I was taking was my acid reflux medication. And so then I was just kind of like moving along into the medical journey. I was yo-yoing constantly. I lost a bunch of weight. I gained a bunch of weight. I lost a bunch of weight. Gained a bunch of weight, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and when I really suck at figuring out how old I was during a particular year. Um, but I was, yeah, I don't know how old I was. Oh, I don't know. So maybe I'll do the math later. But it was 2016, so late 20s, late 20s. Um, so in 2016, I went on a ski trip with some friends and I fell down a mountain and tore all the things in my knee. And when I say all the things, I mean tore my ACL completely through and also tore my meniscus in two places. So when I got back to New York, I went to the doctor and basically we decided to hold off on surgery, and see if it would. Sometimes apparently the ACL can like scar in and I don't need to do surgery. Like scar tissue will build up and kind of like reconnect the two pieces of the ACL. But in my case, that didn't happen. My ACL just shriveled away. So I did end up needing to get surgery. So I did that. I got surgery and then I got PT and just all these different things kept kind of coming up with my knees. I was diagnosed in my early 20s with like patellofemoral malalignment. So basically, my kneecaps don't go straight up and down in the groove for your kneecaps. They kind of like are pulled by maybe a tight IT band or something. that kind of like pulls it and hits it against the bone instead of just going up and down in the groove. So it was really, really painful. Sorry, I left that out of the history before. um, so that was really painful. And so basically, because I already had a patella issue, usually what they do is they take from the patellar tendon, I'm not sure, in order to recreate an ACL. In this case, they had to take from my hamstring instead. So anyway, that is the beginning of kind of my knee problems, which when I was diagnosed with the patellofemoral malalignment in my early 20s, that was, I was maybe like 23, 22, 23 maybe. Also in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with, I had some like sciatica pain. And I was diagnosed with like pre-arthritis in my lower spine. So if you add all of these things together so far, if someone was familiar with HEDS, they might have put things together. But because, and I'm not sure if this is the case in every country, but certainly in America, it seems as though all of the doctors are specialists. So none of them are talking to each other, and none of them are looking at you as a whole body. They're just looking at you as a body part of whatever they are concentrated in, which is really, really frustrating if it turns out you do have a connective tissue disorder, which means you need to be considered as a whole human. But anyway, I digress. So in 2018, I want to say. So this is, oh, no, in 2016. So before I went to get my surgery, so I had the ski accident in February. And then I scheduled my surgery once we realized it was not scarring in. I scheduled my knee surgery for September 2016, very end of September. And I was trying to lose weight because I had ballooned back up to like 180, 190 after a traumatic roommate situation. I had lost a bunch of weight. And then, yeah, so again, I was yo-yoing up and down, up and down. So I was trying to lose weight. I was doing everything by the book. I was basically having fruit salad for breakfast, and then I was having like a salad for lunch, and then I was having like chicken and maybe some rice for dinner or something like that, which is not sustainable forever, especially for me. So I was doing that, and I also went from going to the gym never at all to going to the gym like 3 times a week, and so I, in 4 months of doing that, had lost 0 pounds. 0. Scientifically impossible. So I happened to have gone to a dermatologist, and my dermatologist wasn't available that day. At the time, I was choosing doctors on ZocDoc based on their profile pictures, and kind of like, were they hot? Were they not? Maybe I would meet my future husband that way. Alas, it was not to be. But anyways, so my dermatologist was not available that day. And up until this point, I had also seen several endocrinologists for the weight situation, and also men, not hot men either, just men. And they basically kept testing my thyroid, finding out my thyroid is perfect, and then writing me a prescription for Victoza, which is a diabetes medication that helps keep the weight under control, which later on, I think they used the same or similar formula to create Ozempic, for the record. So I kept being given that, and then I would go off of that because, again, I didn't really want to be on medication if I didn't have to be. So I just figured, okay, I've lost the weight. I don't need to be on this anymore. And then I would gain it all back. And then that happened with a completely different endocrinologist as well. They never really wanted to get down into dig into what possibly could actually be causing this in the first place. My thyroid was fine. I just didn't think to look into anything else. So fast forward back to 2016, I'm not losing a single pound. I'm basically in anorexia territory. I think I was obviously eating a lot more than Laura Owens. However, I was not eating, a sustainable amount of food, um, like whatsoever, really, when it comes down to it. So I went to the dermatologist. My dermatologist, who was hot, was not available the day that I needed to go to the dermatologist. I don't know if he was out sick or he was at a different location or something that day. But I saw I think it was a PA or it was just a regular female dermatologist. I'm not sure, but um, I happened to have complained about my weight, um, how I was basically like for me, I was starving myself. And I was not losing a single pound in 4 months of doing this, not losing a single pound. And she's like, well, super casual. Based on what I see on your skin, you might want to get checked for PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome the next time you go to the lady doctor. So I was like, oh, okay. And I did that, and it turns out, indeed, I do have PCOS, which is also why when Laura said on the stand that PCOS is not something she deals with on a daily basis, I call so much bullshit on that. It is something you deal with on a daily basis. It is. It really, really is. And most people with PCOS have a completely different constellation of symptoms. That is true. But a lot have problems with weight. And she is so teeny tiny. I don't know if she has PCOS or if she just said that at some point. So anyway, none of her diagnoses really, like, I don't trust any of them in general. Even if maybe that is true. Maybe it is true. Maybe uh maybe she was diagnosed with PCOS. I don't know, but I am pretty sure that most of the medical things that she was diagnosed with were self-diagnosed. I don't know about the PCOS. I really don't. So um I ended up being put on Victoza again, and now I knew that my body actually needed that. Once I was diagnosed with the PCOS, which it did turn out I had, and was diagnosed by a doctor. So um, I was put on that medication as well as metformin and spironolactone for the skin issues that I was having. I was also having like really painful cystic acne on my back. And so every time I sat down on a machine or whatever, or sat down in general, but especially at the gym when you're like adding pressure onto yourself with the weights and stuff, it was hurting so much. So anyways, went on this spironolactone to try to quell the acne situation. And anyway, all of those things together worked. We found a good balance that worked with my body chemistry, and away we went. So I would say the following year or the year after, it was 2017 or 2018. And I knew this because I was still at my second and most abusive job in my previous industry. And I suddenly, and I was thin, and I suddenly, well, fit, I should say, not just thin, but fit. I was in very, very good shape. I almost had a six pack, but I didn't know I had the EDS. And I think I do have like a layer of like something in between my skin and my muscles. I don't know what. But anyway, so I suddenly started getting like really bad stomach problems. Like I would get horrific pain, especially like right under my rib. And I was also having other stomach problems, um, like IBS-E kind of things. Specifically the diarrhea version. Sorry if it's TMI, but this is a medical stream. So anyways, I was having horrible, horrible stomach pain leading up to any time I needed to, poo, especially if it was diarrhea. So I was getting some medical testing done by gastros and stuff, and I was not finding any answers at all. So I just kind of kept plugging along in my life and then trying to figure out what the stomach pain was coming from. Um, And so, especially if I was wearing anything that was like tight around my organs or my waist, um, it would lead to horrible, horrible pain, which now I know was probably like trapped gas or something. But anyways, also what I didn't notice at the time is I started farting a lot less, or like possibly sometimes ever. So I think it was probably trapped gas that was causing all of that pain, but I didn't know that at the time. So moving on forward. um Everyone hydrate. So moving forward, um, I was diagnosed with PCOS and I was trying to figure out what was going on with my stomach. I was also having horrible headaches. So 2019 rolls around and I was fired from my last job in that industry because I basically, I guess what the kids call quiet quit. Um, they weren't giving me significant raises, even though I kept getting new responsibilities dumped on me all the time. So I basically decided to just do what my job description said I was supposed to do. And then they fired me. So I was like, finally, okay. So I went back to school to change fields. Um, and while I was in school, I was also I think I was on Medicaid at the time. Um, and so then I was getting all the medical testing done that I needed. I still couldn't find an answer to the stomach problems, which is when I was diagnosed with the IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah, IBS. That's when I was diagnosed with that. And what I consider IBS, I know IBS exists, like in its truest form, absolutely. But for me, I was like, this is just a bullshit catch-all for when they can't figure out what's wrong with you. I was like, I must have some rare, weird thing because no testing is coming up with anything. I had had several endoscopies and a colonoscopy, and they could not find anything. So not that I was praying for like something really terrible in there or anything, but like I just wanted an answer. So I'm just, plugging along in life at school, all that fun stuff on Medicaid. So I'm getting more medical testing done. And then the following year, so I finished up school at the end of 2019. The following year, 2020, I got a certain virus that actually almost killed me. So it really pisses me off when people say COVID isn't real. It never happened or it wasn't that bad. For some people, it really was. I almost died. So it somehow targeted my digestive system. It must have known. It must have known that I had digestive problems. So I was like dealing with horrible, horrible diarrhea for like a week. And I was like, this isn't my usual brand of IBS. My brand always responds to Pepto, and it was not responding at all. And it wasn't right. It didn't look right. It wasn't right. It didn't feel right. It wasn't right. And then about halfway through that week, they started announcing, because this was March 2020, they started announcing that people who have it might also have digestive problems. And I was like, I knew it. I knew it wasn't my IBS. I knew it. So anyway, um, I did, I ended up getting a fever and the stomach problem still continued. So I was still having diarrhea and stuff. And at that point, all I could do once I got the fever was like try to replenish my liquids as much as I possibly could. And throughout that whole week too, I was doing my absolute best to try to replenish my fluids, and I was doing okay. Up until the third day of my fever, every single time I stood up to get more water or to go to the bathroom or try to get any food in that I could, um, I thought I was going to die every time I stood up. So I called my local urgent care. At the time, it was really hard, if not impossible, to find COVID tests anywhere. So I called them to see if they had any COVID tests because I was like, I just wanted to confirm my suspicions. And they were like, Yeah, we do. Like I explained my symptoms. They were like, yes, we do have tests. Please come in based on your symptoms. Please come in. So I came in, and then I saw the doctor, and they did not do the COVID test yet. And the doctor came in, he left. He comes back in like half an hour later. I'm just sitting there by myself for like half an hour, just being like, what the hell's going on here? Um, it might have been more than half an hour, whatever it was. And he comes back in. He's like, hey, so sorry for leaving you alone for so long. I've actually called an ambulance for you. You need to go to the hospital. And I was like, what? On the off chance that I do not have COVID, you're sending me to COVID Central, where people are not, they're going to the hospital, they're not leaving the hospital, they're dying. um, Sorry to giggle. It's sometimes when I get uncomfortable, I giggle. But anyway, so the doctor was like, hey, yeah, we're willing to take that chance. You need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, well, I don't need an ambulance. It's just very dramatic. I could just walk there. It's only like 20 blocks away. And he's like, you will die. Please take the ambulance. So I'm like, okay, you bring up the word die, I'll take the ambulance. It's fine. They come in, and at the time, they still had PPE left, I guess. They had like two of those like felt gowns that you put on when you're going to go into like the surgical room or whatever, like over the scrubs. They're kind of like the see-through ones. So they had two of those on each, and they had like two N95 masks and science goggles. Science goggles. I was like, oh my God, am I ET? They're gonna dissect me. What the hell is going on here? Oh, and like those felt like caps, um, like that they put on you in the delivery room or whatever, to keep your hair kind of like away from everything, whatever. Anyway, so I felt really uncomfortable, but they hung a bag, threw me on the gurney. I mean, they didn't throw me. I got on the gurney, and they put me in the back of the ambulance. And by the time we got to the hospital, we actually had gone through two bags. Obviously, it was an emergency, so I told them not to put the sirens on because I was like, this is just embarrassing. So anyway, I get to the hospital. They're trying to do every test under the sun. They're also trying to convince me. I think they were trying to save COVID tests as much as they could. They were trying to convince me that it had to be strep throat or the flu. And I had just had strep throat and the flu the previous year. And so I knew, I was 100% sure this is not that. This is not that at all. This is no, absolutely not. Give me a COVID test. So they tested me for all the things. Everything came back negative, but at the time they only had the one kind of COVID test that takes like 24 hours to get your results back. So anyways, they keep hanging bags for me. They also tested, everything, my urine and everything. And it was really, really dark. And I was like, oh God, that does not look good. It turns out my creatinine levels, creatinine, I'm not sure how to say it. They were like really, really high, or was it low? I'm not sure. Whatever happens when you're super dehydrated. It turns out I was so dehydrated that there is a chance I actually could have died that day if I hadn't gone to the hospital. So anyways, they're hanging bag after bag after bag for me. For most people, when they're really dehydrated, they say it's like, what is it, like between 3 and 5 bags rehydrates someone. I think I was at like 7 bags, 7 or 8 bags. So that also should have been a bit of a tip off, that there was something else underlying going on. Yeah, so I get rehydrated, do the COVID test. It turns out positive. They tell me the next day. And I go back home once I was rehydrated properly and my creatinine levels were normal. So I go back home, and just mind my own business at that point. We do all the New York COVID things. So I walked to my friend over the bridge and all that. So all the gyms were closed, everything was closed. So there was nothing really to do. Hanging out in Central Park, they like drew circles onto the grass. So it was like only you and your pod could like be that close. They were like at least 6 or 12 feet apart, whatever it was. Anyway, what a weird time to be alive. But happy to be alive. So there's that. So the job situation, I was having a really hard time getting another job, in the field that I was trying to switch into, getting any job in the field that I was trying to switch into, because COVID just kind of wiped out the job market. And So let's see what happened next. Um, I was doing a lot better. And then a few months later, all of a sudden, I lost my sense of smell and taste, even though I was recovering. Maybe it's like a month or two later, whatever it was. I was recovering, if not mostly fully recovered, when I finally lost my sense of smell and taste. And then when it came back wrong. It came back wrong. And when I say wrong, I mean things were not smelling how they're supposed to smell at all. They smelled like something, just not what they were supposed to. So, for example, my own BO started smelling like a little scalliony, I guess, chivy scalliony, something like that. My um, basically, I kept walking by things like restaurants and stuff and smelling foods and being like, oh, something smells really disgusting. I wonder what that is. Ugh, gross. And it turns out, I figured out later it was onions. And I didn't realize because I hadn't been using onions because my stomach was still so sensitive that I was really just eating like white rice with soy sauce just to try to like sustain myself. Because like I couldn't get anything else down. It was like my sense of smell and taste were just like off. And anyway, so I was really pissed about that. And also on top of that, from when I was really little, and I forgot about this in my earlier medical history because, well, at the time I didn't even realize that it wasn't normal. Every time I stand up too fast, I would get like this tunnel vision of like everything would kind of like black out a little bit, and then it would just kind of like open back up. Fine, whatever. So I just never really thought too deeply about it. But after I had COVID, it became these big arm and leg jiggles or whatever. And uh, it went from almost full, tunnel to just like full blackout. And all I could hear was the blood run through my head. And I couldn't see anything. And then when you add in the big leg and arm jiggles, I basically like collapsed a few times, which obviously is not good. It is not good. But I didn't think it was that big of a deal, I guess. And then the onion thing was going on as well. And then all of a sudden I went up to get some water one day and I fainted. And how do I know I fainted? Well, I'm fully aware that I lost consciousness because the fridge door was open and I had hit the back of my head on the ground. It wasn't just a collapse, it was definitely a faint. Because I don't recall actually opening the door. There, like I must have, but anyway. So then I was like, oh, I should probably see someone. I should probably go to the doctor. So I went to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist diagnosed me with orthostatic hypotension, which is low blood pressure. So another fun thing, another fun fact. My whole life, everyone has always made fun of me for over salting things. And it turns out I've probably been self-medicating my whole life without even realizing it. I just really like salty foods because I'm a salty bitch. And that's what I always just chalked it up to. I just really like salty foods. But as it turns out, it ended up probably making my medical conditions a lot less problematic, as far as like being lightheaded and fainting. Maybe I never fainted before because I was always eating super salty foods. I don't know. Everyone would always, you're going to get such high blood pressure. You're going to get such high blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. And like, I mean, rules for thee apply to thee when it comes to blood pressure. So like, if people like to oversalt their foods, let them figure it out, in my opinion. Like, there's no need to comment on what other people are doing to their foods for flavor. But as it turns out, it was working in my favor. So um, I was diagnosed with that. So when you lose your sense of smell and taste, it's called anosmia. When your sense of smell and taste change and are incorrect, it's called parosmia. So I have parosmia and I have much worse migraines. The previous year in 2019, I was diagnosed with migraines and I was put on a medication that actually made my life way worse. So I went off of that medication But I found out later on like a support group on Facebook that the doctors a lot of times don't have you taper properly, and not tapering properly is actually worse for you than just going like it's worse for you than staying on the medication, even if the medication is really bad for you. So anyway, I was dealing with a lot of side effects from that, including super dry mouth. Um, super dry mouth. My eyes got a lot drier. Um, I was getting night terrors. They felt really real. Sorry, I'm pausing because I'm trying to figure out what else I ended up getting from that medication. I'm not sure. Whatever. So all of those things are happening. So in September, I found out that Mount Sinai Hospital was actually running a post-COVID research study. And so I was like, hey, if they can get me my sense of like, if they could get me onions back, because the biggest holdover problem that I was having with my sense of smell was onions. I used to love onions. I loved every kind of onion, every iteration of an onion, shallots, red onions, yellow onions, all the onions, scallions, chives, everything. One of my favorite foods in the universe, and is in so much that you have no idea about. Basically, I think I turned into a werewolf or something because my sense of smell had increased so vividly that like I could smell the smallest amount of onion or onion powder in food from like a mile away because it smelled and tasted so disgusting to me that I was just like, ah. Anyway. So I was asking for everything without onions. So then I was missing that delicious flavor. Oh, anyway, so I was willing to do any, I was like, I thought that was a much bigger problem medically than the fainting. That's how skewed my sense of my priorities were. um, but oh my God, onions. And like now I love them again. It took six, it took 5.5 years to be able to eat onions again and like enjoy them. And my sense of smell is not quite as sensitive as it was for picking up onions. But that was such a crazy time. So I was like, okay, let me join this research study. If anyone is part of this research study and they're trying to do any like clinical trials or anything that could help me regain my sense of smell and taste for the onions, then I will do it. So I verbal diarrhea all of the information, my entire medical history, including whatever happened after the medication that messed with my whole body. Oh, brain fog. That was another one that I got from there. Like I think I've always had some brain fog, but the brain fog got real thick after that medication. That was Cymbalta. For some people, that medication really works. For my body chemistry, it did not. It was not good for me. I think I gained 30 pounds in 1 year, and I was still taking my um, medication for the PCOS for the weight gain and stuff. I was still taking that, and I gained 30 pounds. So there was something very wrong. And I was also significantly more depressed. So it might have been helping the migraines. I really can't even remember if it helped the migraines or not. But as it turned out, not very much really did help the migraines, and the COVID made the migraines significantly worse. And the heartburn. My heartburn medication was no longer working. I've been on this medication since high school, and it was no longer working for me at all. So big problems. I joined this research study, and I just kind of like think not much more of it. I would say, so that was in September. Maybe in October or November, I was contacted by a doctor, and it wasn't her office, it was her directly. She contacted me and asked if I would be willing to have like a video visit with her because she was looking at my records, and she might have an idea of like a different problem. At that point, I was also diagnosed with myalgia by the neurologist that diagnosed me with the migraines, because I was having so many pains in my back and my shoulder and my knees and my hip and this, that, and the other. Everything was hurting. So I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And she basically said, I don't think you have all of these different conditions. I think you have one condition that's causing a whole bunch of side effects that could be attributed to these different conditions. So I would really like to do some testing with you on a video call. And then if all of that turns out how I think it might, then maybe you would come in to do a couple of further tests. So I was like, okay, sure. Sure. So I did that, and on the video call, she like had me hold out my arms. My elbows, I guess you can't really see in this jacket. They go past 180 degrees. Maybe you can see. Like it's not straight. Like my elbows go past 180, like it's curved. And also my thumbs. She's like, "Can you touch your forearm with your thumbs?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, can't everyone? What do you mean?" I didn't realize these things weren't normal. So that rears its head again of me minimizing medical condition because of, well, past whatever. So anyway, I always just thought all these things were normal. She also asked me about my feet, which of course, super flat feet. I think this might have like shrunk a little bit. Okay. Sorry, I have a different mic holder. So I think I hit into it a couple of times. But it's less in your face, which I think I prefer. It's on now. I upgraded to a boom arm. Here's my ADD, guys. I have a boom. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave the mic in front of my face. Okay. So surprise. So she does want me to come in for additional testing. So I think I can't remember if it was a CAT scan or an MRI of my heart. And it turns out I have a slightly widened descending aorta from what is normal for my, at the time, my age, weight, gender, all the things. It's not like hugely widened. It's just slightly widened, but still it's like more than what should be normal. And then plus with the other testing that she did, she was like, it's a bit of there's not a genetic test for HEDS yet. But she was basically like, it's kind of it's a disease of exclusion, I think, right? Like MS doesn't have a test for MS, but you rule out a bunch of other things to get to that diagnosis. That is basically how she got to my diagnosis, especially when she confirmed about the aorta. So with all of those tests, she was like, yeah, you most likely you have HEDS. And from that point, I started really looking into it, and everything just kind of like made sense. With the stomach problems, the acid reflux, the super flat feet, the back problems from super young, even the sciatica issues, the knees, I have 6 herniated discs. I found that out in 2021 though. So I was in a car accident in 2021. And so, because Medicaid was like rejecting some of my medical treatments or my medical testing or whatever, I was on no fault insurance. So sure as shit, I had my entire spine MRI'd because I had so many suspicions. And I also had my shoulder MRI'd. So it turns out there's some, and this is not the arthritic one. It turns out there's some like tearing or fraying. It's called fraying. So it's like micro tearing, whatever. Tearing is tearing to me. So anyways, there's some tearing in my shoulder. I had my left hip MRI'd, and it turned out I have a torn labrum in my left hip. I probably also have one in my right hip because that one bothers me as well. And I had my head CAT scan to see about, I can't remember exactly why, but this is for the migraines. I'm not sure, but my grandfather died of a benign brain tumor. You guys, when it comes to your organs, and I would say most especially your brain, there's no such thing as benign. Okay. If there's a tumor that is wrapped around your heart or your kidney or your this or your that, it is not benign, because if it keeps growing and getting bigger, eventually the function of that organ will no longer function. It will no longer work. So therefore, it is not benign. It might be chemically benign or whatever it is you see under a microscope. I don't know what you're looking at. Structurally benign, It might be structurally benign, sure, but it is not benign, especially if it's in your head, because there's nowhere to go. Like with your body, the rest of your body can grow along with it in your other organs, right? So maybe, if it's a kidney or something, then you have like a growth on your side, but it has some space to keep growing out because your skin expands. Your skull does not after infancy. Your skull does not expand. So, if you ever get diagnosed with something physical in your head, get it removed as soon as you possibly can because it is not benign. So my grandfather died of a benign brain tumor, so I've always been a little bit paranoid about brain tumors. So with the migraine thing, or maybe there was something else that I was experiencing, I don't know, I don't remember at this point. My head also looked at. I'm trying to think anything else I had looked at. Ooh, that's the other thing. While I was still under the no fault, I was working at Best Buy while I was going to school for another career change, because at this point I had been unemployed for like a year and a half after finishing school and was not finding a single job in that field. So I decided to go back to school for a completely different career, which I now am in and absolutely love. But point being, while I was in school, I was also working at Best Buy part-time, and I was in the Magnolia section. So that is the fancy home theater section. So I was routinely selling 85-inch TVs to people, or like just really, really heavy, big chunky TVs, like especially the OLEDs, super, super heavy. Even though they look really light and thin, they're very, very heavy. um, so at the time too, post-COVID, they were really, really understaffing the warehouse. So I would have to go in and lug out onto a trolley the 85-inch TVs from where they're stored, all by myself. Me at 100 and probably 40 pounds at the time, 100, somewhere between, I'm usually between maybe like 134 and like 140 when my body is working properly and I remember to take my medications and I don't forget them, and this, that, and the other. So me versus a 300-pound TV, whatever it is. So I'm lugging these 85-inch TVs. My wrists are starting to really bother me. My knees are bothering me more than they had been in quite a long time. My hip is really starting to bother me. So that's why I got all these things looked at. I also had my wrists looked at, and both of them had micro tearing as well, fraying, tearing, whatever it is you want to call it. So Best Buy was killing me, at least my wrists and my knees, and probably my back too. I asked if I could like sit for some of my shifts, and they were basically like, no, you're not allowed to sit. And I wasn't even there to sell TVs. I was there because I wanted to be a geek squad so that I could gain experience in like IT, you know? So anyways, so I have tearing all over the place. This doctor had diagnosed me with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I'm waiting on a wait list for like a year and a half to see a specialist in EDS. Finally see the specialist. In the meantime, I got some trigger point injections, which did nothing for me. And also I was put on medication that like actually did work for my heartburn, but basically I have a morning medication and an evening medication. They are different medications. So if I miss like more than one dose of either of them, really, really, really bad heartburn again. So the migraines are so much worse, all that stuff. Eventually I finally get Botox for the migraines, as well as I was put on, in 2019, I was put on Aimovig for the migraines, but that and the nortriptyline, which we ended up settling on as well, neither of those worked fully. And then I started getting Botox finally, and when I tell you the combination of all three, the nortriptyline, the Aimovig, and the Botox, solid fix. But yeah, so that was basically very long-winded way of telling you about my medical journey. So that's pretty much where I'm at, except for, oh yes, so recently, earlier this year, the year of 2026, I was also having out of nowhere some really bad shoulder pain in this shoulder. If you remember, I had had this shoulder MRI'd because I thought that there was maybe a torn rotator cuff or something. It turns out, nope. Oh, and that's what I was talking about the MRIs too. I got my whole spine MRI'd and I have 6 herniated discs. So at least one in each of the 3 sections of the back. So there's so that's probably why I have such bad back pain for most of my life. But also the scoliosis, which I already knew that I had scoliosis from when I was like in middle school or high school. But the MRI really like showed, it's much more clear. The X-rays and the MRIs really show the whole like curve that's like just out of place. But yeah, so that's, let's see. So I got this shoulder MRI this year because all of a sudden I was having such bad pain and it was a totally different pain than I remember having in this shoulder. So I got MRI'd and it turns out I got it X-rayed first and then MRI'd. I have, according to the X-ray, I have clavicular arthritis or something. I don't know. I forget the whole words. When you get enough diagnoses, you're just kind of like, I can't remember all of the acronyms anymore or the medical words. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I know more about doctory things than probably most people, but I don't know all of the acronyms and I don't remember all of the body parts and the Latin phrases for things and all that. So it is not my job. I rely on the medical professionals for that. But yeah, so I have the arthritis in the shoulder, but I also suspected there was some sort of soft tissue involvement as well. And so we did get the shoulder MRI'd after the X-ray, and it turns out that there is also tearing or fraying on this shoulder too. So I have pick a body part. I have a story. And so the migraines are much better with those 3 things. So one of my migraine medications for when I actually do get a migraine through all of those things is naproxen, which is basically Aleve. And when I take that and rizatriptan for my migraines, they do go away pretty quickly. But the naproxen also helps with when I'm having shoulder pain from the arthritis. So that's helpful. I'm trying to think what else is helpful. For the GERD, I ended up being on, in the mornings, I'm on rabeprazole, and in the evenings, I'm on famotidine. I don't remember what or if the like the brand names over the counter are for those. Is it like Prilosec maybe? I'm not sure. I don't remember. But anyway, you can look it up. That's what I'm on for those. And yeah, so there's a plethora of other medications too. So eventually there was a shortage of Ozempic. I don't know if everyone remembers that a few years ago. So I gained a bunch of weight because I couldn't get my medication. Also, insurance stopped covering it. So now I have to pay out of pocket to receive medication. And I decided that I was basically on different like samples from my doctor whenever I saw them. Because insurance wasn't covering it and there was a shortage. So I was basically taking samples and sometimes they didn't have the same sample available of what I was already on. So I was trying out the different ones like Mounjaro and Wegovy and Ozempic and some other one and Zepbound, and I ended up settling on I want to be on Zepbound ultimately. And so now that's what I'm taking. But I was also on compounded Ozempic for a while because I wanted it to be like I need this. I'm going to get it every month, guaranteed, even if I had to pay for it. But it was significantly cheaper than paying out of pocket for any of these medications. I think it would have been like $1,300 a month where I am in order to receive those medications from the pharmacy. So the compounded one was maybe like $300 or $400 a month, which is obviously a huge savings. So now I think I'm at $400 a month for for Zepbound. My doctor ended up telling me that they are now doing like a directly from the manufacturer. They'll send you the medication for a much lower price. It's just not in a pen. So I was doing that for a while, and then they created a pen as well that's like direct from them. So it's not compounded anymore. It's like the actual Zepbound that I get. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's my medical journey. If I forget my medications, so for example, I went to Florida to visit a friend. And yes, I took my bond with me, and no, they did not get along at first. Anyway, that's a different story. I forgot to take my Zepbound with me, and I was there for like 10 or 11 days. I gained, I think, 20 pounds. So if I don't have my medication, or if I forget my medication for a while, I will gain all of the weight back that I lost. And because of my joint problems, my joints are very weak and jiggly. If I gain a lot of weight, it makes my joints so much worse, and it makes them degrade so much faster. So it's basically a comorbidity of issues. It's like an avalanche. Like if there's an issue with one of these diseases, such as me gaining a bunch of weight because I can't get my medication for the PCOS, then it affects the other one, like the EDS. So my joints will it will cause so many more problems. Honestly, insurance should really cover it. Basically, they stopped covering it for anyone who does not have diabetes. If you have anything else, it doesn't matter. They don't care. They don't care. So overall, that's where I'm at. That's my medical journey. Let me know yours if you want to. Obviously, this is privileged information. But I'm very open. The office that I go to all the time, I go to an OMT, osteopathic manipulative technician. It's basically like a chiropractor, but super precise and not as like, not as violent. They like gently slide things back into place, and they use like muscle traction, like, hey, I'm going to hold here, you push against there. And it helps to kind of reset some muscle stuff as well, to help out with the joints and stuff. So I go to that every other week. I was also recently, I had started occupational therapy to try to get some dexterity back, because I've never really had great dexterity, but it's definitely gotten worse. And that person unfortunately has left the facility, but I also go to physical therapy, which I keep forgetting to make another appointment for. But physical therapy for my spine, and it was OT for my shoulder, but now the physical therapist is going to do both. So anyway, that's my life. It's privileged information, but I'm always happy to share. And the doctor that I go to for the EDS, it's a teaching clinic. So frequently they have medical students with them. And I'm always like, it is a rare condition and not enough medical professionals know about it. So I'm always happy to have them come in and learn. I think it's super important. If you do have something rare and your doctors, your team, do exist at a teaching facility, I do highly recommend you allow them in. So that way more medical professionals will end up with that knowledge. So that's my PSA. That's my those are my medical issues. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this story, or maybe it's made you think about not minimizing people's medical issues or not minimizing your own. If there's something you think is off, be an advocate for yourself. Always verbal diarrhea to all of your medical professionals, because that's how I got my diagnoses. Oh yeah, and the endocrinologists that I had gone to see, like I said earlier, were both men, or all men. I think there were a few, and they all obviously misdiagnosed me. So from that point forward, I specifically do seek out female doctors. I don't. How many male doctors did I go to that all misdiagnosed me over the years? So many. So I mostly go to both of my major diagnoses I got from female doctors. So now I just pretty much try to go to female doctors. And I only go to male doctors if they are highly recommended by a female doctor that I already trust. So, so sorry guys. That's just how I feel. I don't have a problem with men overall. I have a problem with men not thinking of other things that could affect people. For example, if those endocrinologists had just thought a little bit harder, what else could be making a woman gain weight like this or hold on to weight like this besides a thyroid issue? Then maybe I would have gotten my diagnosis many years sooner, and maybe I would have had less joint problems because I would have already been on that medication. I wouldn't have yo-yoed as much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all a chain reaction. So I hope that this has resonated with you in some way. And I'm going to stop this recording here. And now I'm going to be live and we are going to read some medical Reddit stories. So I hope you've enjoyed. I hope if you have any suspicions for yourself, go get that checked out. And let's get into the Reddit of it all, huh? That was a weird sound, but hey, huh, or hey, I don't know. Whatever it was. Let's get into the Reddit stories, huh? All right. See you in a sec. Bye, guys. Thank you. Yes, muted. Okay. Yes, Sarah, I do squirrel. I do indeed have hair tinsel. I love sparkly things. I am very familiar with squirreling. So still no sound? Is it unmuted? It looks like it's unmuted. Oh, okay. Nope. I think it's working now. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for coming to my TEDx talk. And yes, I do have hair tinsel. Yeah, I know like a lot of people have a lot of different, medical issues, and I do think it's definitely very, very important. So Razzmatazz also always, lets lets the med students in. So do I. So important that people are educated on the more rare conditions, so that way they can actually diagnose people appropriately in the future, because the med students are the future of medicine, obviously, right? So it doesn't do any of us a benefit to not allow them in unless you're like incredibly uncomfortable with it. I think I would never let med students in if it was a gyno visit. There's certain doctors that do not need to know about my version of EDS or PCOS. You know what I mean? And I think that's the line that I draw. So yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry that so many of you have also dealt with some pretty intense and severe medical problems. It's not fun, I mean, it's just not fun. So anyways, Farmer, she isn't close to, I'm not close. Oh, your sister? Oh, hello everyone. Yeah, so yeah, because your sister is a massage therapist but lives in another state. Okay, that's what you meant by close. Okay, yeah. That sucks. It does. I wish that all of our, medical providers accepted all types of insurance, and all types of insurance covered all different medical situations. And in some countries they do, I guess. I would know. I'm in this country where they don't. So it's really hard to find a really good team of medical providers. And it's also really hard to find a team of people who all listen to you and understand you. So, anyways, I hope that everyone does find those people they need it. So now I'm actually going to read a few best of Redditor updates, medical Reddit stories, and we can still decide if people are the asshole or not. I think maybe it's going to be like a is the doctor the asshole or the patient the asshole kind of a thing. If you want to turn it into that. um, but yeah, so otherwise, feel free to keep. Oh, hi, Danny. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Yep. Feel free to replay. The first part of the stream is when I went over my whole medical journey. So if it is something that interests you, do feel free to hit that on the replay. A, it gives me more watch hours, and B, I do think that the more rare conditions need a little bit more attention. So and knowledge. So I do try to share people, and like I said, to med students especially. So let me share my screen, and let's see, share screen. Share tab, and then, oh, it automatically did it. Oh, how nice is that? Okay. I think, did it pick the right one? Nope, that's not the right one. That's also not the right. Okay, so I guess the first one was the right one. Hold on. Wait, something is amiss. I think it's, no, wait, where did it go? One of them got deleted. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. Stop screen. Nope. Okay, guys, I'm learning. I'm learning. I don't know if you noticed, but I was able to get the chat window. Actually, I'm not sure which way it's going to show. I was able to get the chat window showing, but apparently I am unable to share my screen without making it a whole drama. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, I think that's good enough. I wonder if, no, it's just going to be, okay. Anyway, I tried. I was trying to make me a little bit bigger, but there's apparently not really a way to share your screen and make you bigger. But anyway, I tried. Oh, Danny says, "Deaf interests me. I have an ongoing medical condition of my own. Yes, complicated conditions are rough. They don't fit the medical structure. Yeah, especially in this country. And also with specialists, like I said at the beginning of my pre-recorded video, everyone, all the doctors seem to be concentrating in something. And so no one's looking at you as a whole body. They're just looking at the body part that they specialize in. And I think a lot more of the connective tissue disorders and such, I think they, would be caught a lot sooner if that were not the case. And sorry if you see a really dirty thumb, I apologize. I went and gardened between recording that video and coming on with you guys. So, so it's a little dirty. I forgot to put on my gloves. But anyway, yeah, I think a lot more connective tissue disorders would be found much sooner if we all saw like DO primary physicians or people who look at you as a whole body for primary physicians, and then they like refer you out to all the different specialists and stuff. But I digress, as always. And Minnie says, I remember once my daughter came in with me to a new doctor. and I told the doctor my entire spiel of weird medical history. And when we left, she said, OMG, mom, that's crazy. Yeah, it's like an entire like 5 million page Odyssey. But I do think it's important to verbal diarrhea on any medical professional that you go to see. So that way they are much more likely to find issues sooner or refer you to the right people who can get the right stuff done for you or make random comments like that dermatologist made to me. Oh, you might want to get checked for PCOS the next time you go to the gyno. Stuff like that. Like I think it's definitely important to verbal diarrhea if you are trying to find answers to anything. So anyways, oh, and yeah, Sarah, you minimize to your family the most. I don't now. I try to be like, no, you guys minimize me and made me minimize me for so long. Now I'm going to tell you everything. Danny said that exactly. My story is different, but part of it is two different problems with your pancreas. Oh, good God, that weren't detected for 30 plus years because your GI had an isolated focus on the intestine. Yeah, exactly. I guess who do you see for pancreas? Is that an endocrinologist? It might be. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, the specializing is such a problem, in my opinion. The specializing and concentrating only on that is a problem. Minnie said women in general are less listened to. Our pain is deemed hysterical or overly dramatic. Even women doctors can be like that, and our issues by because of it. 100%. And I've definitely had my medical issues not listened to by female doctors as well. So it's definitely not just men. Like I said, I do not hate men. I just don't trust them anymore after it was mostly them who misdiagnosed me for many years. So, but yes, it is a very big problem. Even Serena freaking Williams was not listened to, and she knew that there was a problem after giving birth. She knew there was a really big problem, and she kept saying something wasn't right, something wasn't right. She wasn't listened to. She is a goat of a human. Like, what do you mean you're not going to listen to her? She knows her body. She is a professional Olympic athlete. She knows her body so well. Like, what do you mean you're not going to listen to her when she knows something is not right? But anyway, it's a problem. So if you're going to be a future doctor, please just listen to people. It's very important. You can blame your barging in for the digressions. Y'all got me going, and I can rant. Yes, well, you could also blame my ADD, which I also went into at the beginning of the beginning of my recording as well, of the ADD diagnosis. So, yeah, I blame me mostly. Razmataz says, yes, my family is the people I tell the least to. Yeah, now I just I'm like, fuck that, I don't care. But yeah, so Sarah goes, my husband always comes home with prescriptions that he doesn't even use. That's interesting too. I mean, that's interesting. I don't get it. I think I've only ever had like one prescription that I didn't use. It was after the ski accident. I was prescribed. I was in Colorado when I fell, and I was prescribed some sort of, I don't remember if it was a sleep medication or a pain medication. Either way, I was just kind of like, I don't really want to take this. I don't want like extra chemicals in my body right now. But we did thankfully go to a dispensary earlier today. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna just have one of my edibles, and I went to very nice sleep. So Minnie says, Sarah, oh, mine too. And I complained about not sleeping forever. And my hubby said it once, and he just came home with scripts. He said, just ask them. And I just, RM. I don't know. My brain just isn't getting there. But just ask him to complain to his doctor. He'll get you a prescription. Danny says, well, I have ADHD, so I guess the two things, chronic medical condition and ADHD, that often make me a misfit in society. I mean, I fit right in here. Yeah, exactly. We find our people, or people find us too. So um, you find the right people that have the patience for your shortcomings and or long comings if it's ranting, I guess, whatever. You find people that have the patience for you and your conditions. And Sarah says, I love him obviously, but he is a hypochondriac. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of has anyone heard of the man flu situation? Because there's a reason that is a thing. But anyways, I'm gonna get onto the Reddit story, the first Reddit story. So anyways, oh, roll your eyes. Okay, that's what RM means. Cool. I was like, RM. In Kali Linux, that means remove. Actually, probably most Linuxes. So anyways, roll my eyes. Love it. Okay. Medical mystery stumps top Reddit docs. So there is a subreddit that I have been in many, many times that is called r/askdocs. And there are a lot of people in there who are medical professionals. There are a lot of people in there who are also not medical professionals, but maybe like us could suggest things to ask about or whatever. So this will be interesting. This will be interesting, I think. Okay. The original post is, I have a question. So I was taking a shower and washing myself down there, and I felt what I thought was a tampon string or something. I mentally flipped because how could I be so careless to leave something like that inside of me? Then I realized I haven't had a period for like 3 weeks, so it couldn't be that. Long story short, it's this weird long blue vein. Oh my God, coming out my butt. Oh my God. It doesn't hurt, but it does hurt a little bit when I spread my cheeks to try to get a better look with a mirror. I'm a 19-year-old female. Is this hemorrhoids or something? By the way, guys, I don't read these stories before you before I read them with you. Because I want like honest reactions. I just read the title and I also see how many people have like upvoted the story in Best of Redditor updates. But I really like the updates ones because we get updates and I like those. So yeah. She has a blue vein coming out of her butt. That is crazy. Sarah thinks maybe it's a prolapse or something. Maybe. I don't know of what though. That would be, I feel like when your butthole prolapses, it's a whole situation. I don't know. Well, if all of medical Reddit couldn't figure it out, I don't know if we will. Oh my goodness gracious. Danny says, my friend found a lump in her breast, and when she got it checked out, they told her to just come back if it grows. She happens to be paranoid and got scans anyways. Turns out she has stage 4. Oh my God. That's terrible. It's good she got it checked out. She went with her gut. She went with her gut. But it's good she got it checked out anyways. That's terrible. I hope she's doing okay. And a prolapse is where the organs fall through the anus. Yeah, but what's a thin blue vein a part of? Like what? Like that would be a whole organ falling out of your anus, not the you know what I mean? Like a vein. I don't know. Doesn't sound totally right, but anyways. Commenter says, do you strain a lot or poop too hard? How can you poop too hard? You poop how you poop, right? Do you strain a lot or poop too hard? Because that sounds like a hemorrhoid. Either way, get that mess checked out, because if it's a vein, you don't want to risk accidentally tearing it or any other nasty complications. Another commenter said, sis, you need to go to an emergency room immediately if it's so bad. But put loose clothing on and be incredibly careful when getting dressed and when getting in and out of a car. That needs to be looked at ASAP. It could be a hemorrhoid or it could be something far more serious. OP, I'm going to go because this is weird. It's blue too, so it has a whole ass vein or something. Update 1. It literally feels and looks like just a string or yarn. Like it doesn't feel like part of a human biology. Final update. It is a piece of fucking string that finally passed from when I accidentally ate it. Good night, you guys. my God. I'm dead. I'm dead. It's a huge, like it's a huge hemorrhoid, but it's not. Yeah, prolapse. Yeah. Minnie T says that's terrible on both levels, the doctor and the diagnosis. Yes. Um, the organ maybe. Yeah, but I don't know many organs that look like a blue string. So that's why I was like, I don't know if it's a prolapse there. Sarah said, I just went through that. They found something on my mammogram. They told me the next year that they will do an MRI next year. No, we need to start getting things checked out like right away. Um, I don't like that. Are we need to be more proactive about our health, and we need to have our doctors be more proactive about our health unless they like definitely don't think it could be anything. But again, I don't really trust I don't trust that except for my medical providers that I really really trust. All my medical providers are more worried about my health than I am. So that's what everyone needs. And if we collectively stop going to doctors that don't give a shit, then maybe they will go out of business and we'll just be left with a bunch of doctors that actually give a shit. So like there's no point in having these kinds of doctors around, in my opinion. Danny said a rectal prolapse can happen from straining too much. Small prolapse isn't dangerous, but the big ones may need surgery. Okay, so maybe that would be like the blue string possibility, even though now we found out it's just a string. Razmataz said, Danny, prayers and positive vibes for your friend. That's a very horrible diagnosis. Yes, prayers for that. Minnie says, if you strain or push too hard, because it's hard. Yeah, exactly. Because it's hard to get it out. That's why you're straining or pushing. You can't really help it. You're trying to get it out. Got to get out. Oh my gosh. Yeah, not okay. And Minnie says, can you imagine writing that on Reddit instead of having a doctor or nurse look at it? Literally, yeah. I would have gone to like if I thought that it was a vein or something, I would have probably like had a heart attack and like gone to a doctor right away. That's before I think like writing on Reddit is like never the first thing in my brain. Even though I end some of these streams with, and remember, whenever you journal, do it on Reddit. I it's not the first place that I would think of going to. Though I guess I did think of going to Reddit. Like I went to my friends first, but then I also went on to like legal advice Reddit and like traveler relationship advice Reddit as well. When I was having an issue with a friend, which I read on my first Reddit stream. Um, and then I remembered, oh my God, I have a lawyer aunt. That was so stupid that I went on Reddit for that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's not the first thing I would do. Raz says, fight, fight, fight for yourself. Yes, always fight for yourself. It's so, so important. And I didn't learn until pretty late on that I need to be much more of an advocate for myself. And I think I've done okay at that since that. Danny said, I'm not a doctor, but work in the medical field, and they preach how important prevention is, but the system does not support that, much less insurance coverage. Exactly. It's so true. It's very, very frustrating. Uh, and that's the thing too, right? Like insurance is also supposed to specifically like cover preventative care, but if your doctors are not supporting that, or if you actually try to go like follow through with that, sometimes insurance doesn't cover it, and it's just like, well, you're supposed to. Like, what do you mean? They only cover certain preventative care, whatever they deem important. And Minnie says, Sarah, I would get a second opinion. Yeah. Yes. Um, yeah, because they found something on your mammogram, but then told you that next year they'll do an MRI. No, like definitely get a second opinion because they might fight harder. So the thing too is that like if there's something that you need, you can have them. I forget what it's called because it's been a minute because my doctors just do it behind the scenes now, but you can have them fight with the insurance company for you. They'll like call it like they'll tell the insurance company that they need to basically do a call with them to like explain why this is a medical necessity. And a lot of times insurance will approve things if the doctor specifies why to the insurance company. So, but some doctors also don't have time for that. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Sarah said they label you if you're an advocate. Yeah, sometimes, but if you're at the right doctors, they'll be an advocate for you. So we gotta find the right medical providers, especially again in your situation. Get that checked out, please. And Danny said it's okay to let doctors think you're obnoxious. A lot of us want everyone to like us, but it's our life and our future on the line. Exactly. Our doctors are not our friends unless they eventually become our friends, but our doctors are not our friends. So, like, who cares what they think of you? Fight for yourself. Fight for yourself. And Sarah said, will do. Just need to get in the right mental space to not be pissed off. I hope this was very recent, and I hope that you get in the right mental space very soon and go and get that checked out, because we don't want a much worse situation on your hands. Danny said, I'm sorry, I get it. I can tell you how many times I left the doctor in tears and swore I'd never see a doctor again and figure it out on my own. Yeah, there's a lot of dangers with trying to figure it out on your own too. I have self-diagnosed a few things that I then got confirmed by medical professionals, but it's better if we don't have to do that. And let your emotions settle down and follow up when you can calmly but firmly say that you need to know, even if only to rule something out more serious that could be treated right away. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Minnie said, Sarah, I don't blame you, but don't stew or worry. It's best to just deal with it. You have EDS too, don't you? Minnie, I know you do, but I don't know if Sarah does. It's common for us to have fatty small lumps under our skin, but be safe, not sorry. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Be safe, not sorry. And Sarah said, exactly, I hate being that way. I'm super nice person, and no, I don't deserve it. I hate confrontation. Yeah. I also don't like confrontation, but I'd rather have a confrontation than end up with something that could kill me. So please get that checked out. Danny said, exactly, it could be nothing, but it's better to know. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, not EDS. I didn't think so, Sarah. Yeah. Danny said, agree. Figuring it out on my own was good for learning to listen to my own body, but not to identify and treat something like a pancreas that doesn't work. Exactly. Exactly. I did self-diagnose. So I think my most recent and most successful self-diagnosis was seborrheic dermatitis. And I looked it up. I compared like different skin conditions to like my skin, and I figured it out that it was seborrheic dermatitis most likely. But then I went to the dermatologist a couple of days later and I had them take a look at it. I did not even mention the words seborrheic dermatitis, and they were like, oh, this is seborrheic dermatitis. And I was like, damn, I'm good. But I want to hear it from the medical professionals because I want to confirm, you know? So always make sure to get that confirmed. Unlike Laura, who just takes a bunch of pregnancy tests at home and think that that's sufficient for a court. But anyway, I do really love that this person, it ended up just being a blue string. I don't know what kind of string they could have eaten, but so funny. Okay, next Reddit story. My former doctor intentionally misdiagnosed me. Everyone hydrate. Okay, and there is apparently a new update for this one. So this is from 2024. You don't believe me, do you? What if I told you it happened twice and I nearly died? This is the most painful story of my life, the one I'm encouraged to write a book about, the one I'm still in partial denial over, and the one that sent me to the ER over 50 times in 18 months. And it all started with an incorrect MRI interpretation, gone far past the point of wrong. Okay, as a bit of a backstory, I started having severe debilitating migraines in summer of 2021. after my second round of COVID. Like I said, my migraines got so much worse after I had COVID. I'm telling you, as did my GERD. Okay. By the time I first saw this doctor, I had already trialed and failed multiple treatments and medications. He ordered an MRI. It came back normal, but he diagnosed me with a rare condition called a CSF leak, spinal fluid, I believe, right? Cerebral spinal fluid, CSF, right? Or cervical spinal fluid. What is CSF? What is CSF? Cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, I was pretty on point. I was very close, and I am not a doctor, guys. Okay. Oh, Minnie says I took my sleep meds, so I'm going to pass out soon. So I'll do a replay tomorrow for the watch time. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. And she said, "Good night, sweet friends. We are here for you, Sarah." Yes, yes, we are all here for all of us. So thank you for being here, and have a wonderful sleep. Okay, back to the story. So diagnosed me with a rare condition called a CSF leak, so cerebral spinal fluid leak. I scheduled surgery, unaware that this wasn't true. I didn't have a leak. I only became worse after surgery. He actually admitted there wasn't a leak by that point, and my pain was repeatedly ignored and diminished, because I wasn't giving birth. The doctor ordered an angiogram. It was normal, but he diagnosed me again with intracranial hypertension. Okay. So swelling inside the head, and prescribed blood thinners. I became so sick I couldn't get out of bed, eat, or even properly use the bathroom. I never knew pain like this even existed. In between all of this, I began to go to the ER. Before that, I had never experienced such rude and sexist comments in my life. How was I being dramatic? Or how I was being dramatic, or how I was a drug seeker, etc. The female medical staff was so much kinder to me than the male doctors. I would eventually learn the truth that I had been misdiagnosed twice and severely injured as a result. I also learned that I am not the first that this doctor hurt. My question is, though, the doctor ordered an angiogram. I'm assuming not the same doctor as the one that performed unnecessary surgery, because I would never have gone back to that doctor, because she said that he actually admitted there wasn't a leak by that point. Yeah, so I don't know why she would go back to that doctor, but anyways, he knew that he was misdiagnosing me and did it anyway. I know how crazy that probably sounds. I learned via medical records he never thought that I would get a hold of, as he blatantly refused to let me read them. Well, aren't you supposed to have access to all of your own medical records? I don't know what country this person is in, so I guess it could be a different country, but maybe there are different like medical laws there, whatever. It's crazy. I haven't been the same since that surgery. It's like a part of my soul has died, and now I'm morbid and bitter. I never had anything he diagnosed me with, and the blood thinners were slowly killing me. The point of this story is to advocate for yourself as a patient for anything you might be struggling with. It could save your life. I hope no one here ever has experienced something similar. Edit. I'm not diminishing childbirth, for heaven's sake. The doctor said this to me, and that's why I included it. Please, to anyone who is offended by that part, please calm down. I know childbirth is awful. That's why I'm not having kids. I can relate to that one. Second edit. I'm so truly grateful for the support y'all have given me. It means a lot. I will take some time to try to answer any questions and respond to comments and stories. Thank you all so effing much. You're so wonderful. Okay, so read a few of your guys' comments. Danny said, same goes for blood work and supplementing, etc. Example, a condition where your body stores too much iron has similar symptoms to anemia. Oh yeah, but what is that? Forget the words. Infargardio or something, where your body stores too much iron, and anemia, which taking in more iron could be deadly. Yeah, exactly. There's definitely some similar symptom conditions that actually have opposite treatments, or the treatment for one could destroy you if that treatment is given and you have the other one. I think there was actually like at least one House episode about that. Not with specifically the iron situation, but in general. I think it was like they were, do we give radiation to this person if they have possibly this condition, or do we give steroids to this person because they might have this condition? And if you give either one and they have the other, it could end them, or they might not be able to take it, the other one, later on. So anyway, so it scares me when people assume low iron and supplement without knowing. Yes. Yes. Yeah, spinal fluid, exactly. Okay. So on to the update. So 2.5 months later. First, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who offered support, advice, and to those who have shared their stories and experienced similar things or dealt with doctors minimizing your pain. I am truly deeply sorry. This community is so amazing, and I couldn't be more appreciative of everyone here. I wanted to give an update on this because it's something that still weighs on me every single day. I have some positive news. I believe I have finally found the right attorney. Yes. Get that asshole for everything they're worth, for intentionally misdiagnosing you, for the malpractice, all that. Yeah, and punitive damages, all the, because you're left basically debilitated, I guess. Brain surgery is no joke. It's no joke. Okay, so found the right found the right attorney. Where was I? Oh my God. I first wanted to say thank you for the advice and support and opinions. Minimizing your pain. So amazing. Oh, I was halfway through the second one. That's why. Finally, okay. I'm like looking through the first paragraph for words that were actually in the second paragraph. So brilliant me. Okay. Finally found the right attorney. She will not only help me, but she wants to look into having my former doctor's license revoked through the state medical board. I'm surprised that this hasn't already happened, especially since you were able to get a hold of their medical notes that specify that you indeed were purposely misdiagnosed. That is absolutely wild. So I've heard more and more about how this doctor does this to other patients. I've even spoken to a few of them and felt so awful knowing they too have suffered at the hands of a man wanting to be like Dr. Death. For a bit of bittersweet news, I recently did a test and learned how bad the nerve damage is. I'm looking at having nerve decompression surgery in the head, skull, brain to help alleviate some symptoms. It's not too invasive, but it's a hard few weeks of recovery in a hospital, and I have a lot of allergies to medications, but I'm hoping for the best. Thank you so much to everyone here. Y'all are wonderful. Yeah. Uh that's rough. I just wonder if they ever figured out the issue in the first place. I'm assuming this nerve damage is from the original surgery that was unnecessary. But I wonder what the original problem was that was causing all these debilitating migraines. So I don't know if we're going to get an answer on that. Relevant comments. This commenter said, Yen Piglet said, wow, I'm sorry this happened to you. I hope you can heal from this in real time. I can't speak the English apparently. I hope you can heal from this in time, in all ways possible. Can I ask what your actual diagnosis is versus what he tried to pin on you? I understand if that's too personal to share. Yes, thank you. The OOP says, thank you. I was misdiagnosed with a CSF leak and intracranial hypertension, both of which were wildly incorrect. And then he put me on a blood thinner that's pretty similar to warfarin and gave me some vasculitis. Oh, that's terrible. My correct diagnosis is very complex, and one condition is directly from the blood thinners. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. And to another commenter with a similar question, goodness, I'm so sorry you have them too. My scans all came back clean, but I was diagnosed with a CSF leak and intracranial hypertension when I actually have cluster headaches, hemiplegic migraines, and occipital neuralgia. Oh, I think I might have occipital neuralgia actually, which is like the throbbing, what I get anyway, is like the throbbing pain over my ear. It feels like a migraine concentrated into like one small like square centimeter over my ear. It's crazy. And yes, I use centimeter even though I'm from the US, because I just thought the size made more sense for a square of something. So it's definitely smaller than a square inch. So, anyways, um, yeah, that sucks. I've done nerve blocks and love them so much. I've done electro-stimulation devices, ketamine therapy, lifestyle changes, not enough. It's tough. It's really hard, the lifestyle change part of things. And some diet changes, including cutting out caffeine, which isn't fun. No, it's not. The migraine community on Reddit is amazing. I've received so much help from kind internet strangers, and it's been so nice to meet others. This user, whose name I'm not going to read out because it's a bunch of random, it's basically like Elon Musk's symbol child name. I don't get that part of the medical records. I don't get the part of about the medical records. Did he like add incriminating comments to your file or something? OP said, I'm happy to answer this. My former doctor put the correct diagnosis on my records, but told me something completely different and then refused to send the records to my new doctor because he knew that the information would be very damning. Ooh. He knew he was misdiagnosing me and for whatever reason chose to push forward with it. That is crazy. He wanted to do surgery maybe to act like a rock star. I don't know. That's wild. The red scimitar said, re medical records. In the US, no medical provider may withhold them when asked by the patient or their authorized representatives. OOP said, yeah, it's been cited for some HIPAA violations as a result. I was very confused as to why he refused, as all services rendered, even the ones I didn't need, had been paid for. My story might sound fake, and I truly wish it wasn't. There was still a lot of components that didn't make sense even to me. And then the red scimitar, I'm probably saying that wrong, said, it doesn't sound fake to me. I had a dentist fake 9 cavities and charged to fill them. She's been doing that to patients for 4 months as she collected funds for her planned secret escape to another state. Bitch. Seriously. One day, she just left her practice, selling it to a newly graduated pair of dentists who couldn't even figure out how to take a mouth impression. Turns out she was planning to flee her life and Scientology, and she did. That's not a good way to do it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I left Danny's comment on the screen. That's not a good way to escape your life in Scientology, but I do understand wanting to escape your life in Scientology. But don't do it by hurting people, because that's ultimately what you're doing. If they don't have cavities, you're basically like undermining the structural integrity of the tooth by drilling into it and also making future cavity fills more intense and stuff. So let's not do that. But yes, do leave Scientology. If you're in Scientology, it's not good. Okay, the new update. And new apparently being 2024. So anyway, I caught wind to my original post and first update being posted to another sub. I truly wasn't expecting that. Most of the comments were very supportive, but I wanted to address some of the issues that were brought up. My story isn't fake. It was never fake. It will never be fake. I wish it was. The story was not fabricated due to my alleged hatred of men, as a few individuals commented. I mean, and that's how I feel too. Right? Male doctors have been a problem for me personally. It doesn't mean I think all male doctors suck. I just won't go to one again unless highly recommended by a female doctor that I trust. Um, anyway, and yes, I've also had bad female doctors. So it's not just none of them have misdiagnosed me for many years. That's the difference. Um, anyway, uh, so I don't hate men. I do hate some of their behaviors, but I would fully hope someone to call me out. Not great English, but I would fully hope that someone would call me out if I acted that way. It's a mutual feeling. I wouldn't expect someone to put up with me acting like an ass. That's fair. One of the things that was brought up was my medical records and my diagnoses. I'll try to be as concise as possible. My medical records have damning information. Two of my correct diagnoses are recorded on these records. However, the verbal diagnoses and the treatment plans via paper and verbally were completely different. I was treated for issues I did not have. Yes, I do know that blood thinners do not treat intracranial hypertension. It's usually Diamox, but the blood thinners are what I was prescribed. In other words, my former doctor knew that he was misdiagnosing me. He was fully aware. He is not stupid. He is likely a narcissist. I would lean maybe more with like a sociopath or something. I don't know. This is Laura Owens lying level territory here. Yeah, I don't know about narcissist. I don't think that fully fits. I feel like there's other stuff going on there as well, but maybe there's some narcissism, but that doesn't really even fit the narcissist like symptoms or whatever you would call it. Anyway, I developed hemiplegia with migraines at the beginning of this year. I do not know why, and I may never know. The cluster headaches too. I do not know what caused them. There is ambiguity in some of this information because it is still ongoing. There's still more to be uncovered. I'm heavily considering nerve decompression surgery or even removal of the occipital nerves, if only. If only I were not afraid of ever getting surgery again after the knee thing, I would maybe get that removed too. But your nerves also tell you when there's a problem. Obviously, that one is wrong. The one over my ear is wrong when it's telling me that there's a problem there. But the occipital nerve is also covering other areas besides just right over my ear. So if there is a problem and I don't feel it, that could be like a big problem as well. So I don't know, maybe decompression though. I should look into that. Anyway, I found stories of other patients, both men and women, as a few individuals assumed that I was only recounting stories from women online and even through Reddit. These stories will not be involved in my lawsuit. I found them to see if there was a pattern of negligence on my former doctor's part, and this proved to be correct. This doctor has harmed both men and women. I do not believe he was only harming women. Finally, on to the small update. The case is underway. It is very unlikely to go to trial. I have too much on him for any sort of major defense. I'm hopeful, but this entire thing is so emotional for me. Yeah, because you're in pain and you weren't listened to. It's hurtful to know people assume that I'm lying about my story, but it's Reddit. Yeah. These people don't know me, and I'm not going to spend hours upon hours trying to convince strangers of my truth. Okay, my truth. I'm going to go on a little rant here. So, my truth is not a thing. It is not a thing. There is the truth. There is my perspective, your perspective, and the truth. But we do not own the truth. And I hate when people use the word. The truth is objective, not subjective. My truth would make it subjective. That's not how it works. That is not the truth. Period. I hate when people do that. It really couldn't tell. Really pisses me off. Really, really pisses me off. So, anyways, back to let me remove remove that. Add that. Okay. Um, yeah, that pisses me off. That was a mini rant, but anyway. um, okay, I'm not going to spend hours upon hours trying to convince strangers of my perspective or my experience. Okay, that's a better way to put it. They weren't there, so experience. Thank you to everyone who has offered kindness and support. I really appreciate it. I will update one final time when my case is settled. Until then, I'm just trying to heal psychologically and physically. So this person maybe didn't post again. Let's check. Let's check. Oh, this was posted by Direct Caterpillar. The original poster is Wanderlust Bimbo, deleted, probably because of the legal matter at hand. So, anyway, sad that we didn't really get, a further update, but they might still be in litigation. Maybe that doctor didn't want to settle, much like some people we all know. Laura Owens. Anyway, on to the last story of today. And then I gotta go feed a very hungry feline. So little Mr. Bond, James Bond, who is sleeping in his scary Halloween cat house down there. So yeah. Anyway, and Sarah says they probably aren't allowed to comment on the settlement. No, they're probably not allowed to comment on the settlement, but they could say like, "Hey guys, I'm not going to comment on the settlement, but I just wanted to update everyone and let you know that the lawsuit has been completed, and I was advised to sign an NDA, and therefore I can't comment on." You know what I mean? Like there are ways to update without necessarily breaking your NDA or whatever. So, yeah. And saying that there's an NDA does not break an NDA. So on to the last story that I have pulled up. Let's see, share this tab. Okay. This was originally posted to Ask Docs. I told the doctor my mom was lying about my symptoms. And it's also marked as ongoing. So there might not be a conclusion on this one. Trigger warnings for factitious disorder, which is like the new version of like Munchausen's, because they always have to create different words for things that we already know the words for. Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Oh, imposed on another by proxy. I mean, we already knew what that meant. Why they have to rename it? Anyway, it's where you pretend that someone within your care is sick when they really aren't. And a type of abuse. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely a type of abuse. Give me 1 second. Sorry, my phone is like going off over here. And I think it's trying to drive me actually crazy. Okay. So the original title was, I know my mom is over exaggerating my symptoms, but I don't know what to do. Hey, doctors. I made a Reddit account for this question after I did a Google search. It seems like the safest way to get an answer privately. I'm a 15-year-old girl. I'm 5 feet and 82 pounds. I take Keppra, hydroxychloroquine, and Adderall. I live in the US, and this has been going on for 5 years. I'm diagnosed with epilepsy, undifferentiated connective tissue disorder. I've not heard of that one. Do they just mean undifferentiated, like it wasn't specified, like an unspecified one, or is there like a type of connective tissue disorder that's called like undifferentiated connective tissue disorder? Like that's the name of it. Maybe you look it up. Okay, it is an actual, it's an autoimmune disorder. Okay. Oh boy, that's rough. And ADHD. My mom thinks I have POTS, EDS, and some other things. So when she says I'm diagnosed with epilepsy, undifferentiated connective tissue disorder, and ADHD, like, and then my mom thinks I have POTS, EDS, and some other things, wouldn't they know? Like, if it was the undifferentiated connective tissue disorder, a lot of times with EDS, a lot of times POTS is very common in people who have EDS, which is why I personally also think that I might have POTS. Like that might be what um, my orthostatic hypotension might be more so like part of POTS. Um, so were you diagnosed for the other things by your mom or by a doctor? Anyway, basically, I had a seizure once when I was about 10 on a school field trip. My mom had always been really intense anytime I got sick. She took me to the doctor for every single cold. That is crazy. But this seizure sent her overboard, and since then, she's basically been convinced that I have some kind of serious diseases. At first, I believed her. She was good at convincing me I was feeling things or that stuff happened that I didn't remember because I was having a seizure. But the only one I know I had for sure was the one in fifth grade. And when I was at the hospital after, they didn't find any obvious cause. Since then, my mom takes me to all these appointments claiming I have symptoms or claiming I have symptoms I don't or making them sound way worse than they are. For example, she'll claim I'm having fevers and that the only reason I don't have one is in clinic is because I took Tylenol. Mm, mm-mm. It'll be true that I took Tylenol, but not because I had a fever. She just gives it to me. She'll also have me take cold medicine before cardiology appointments. Like she says, here, you're sniffly, take this. But now I'm reading that cold medicine makes your heart rate go up. Ooh. And half the time I didn't even feel sniffly. It's like she'll plant things too. She'll start saying, you seem lightheaded. Your joints look swollen. You look out of focus. Like she's trying to convince me. And it used to work, but now I'm sitting here like I feel fine. And I'm sick of all these appointments. I want to do stuff with my friends and stop taking meds that make me bitchy and sad and sick to my stomach. She'll take pictures that angles that make things look worse than they are. One time I got a ton of bruises after playing on a water slide inflatable thing and taking a bunch of ibuprofen after for joint pain, but I got a ton of bruises from it, and she told the doctor that they showed up with no cause, and I got a full leukemia workup done, and she was telling everyone how I probably have leukemia. Oh my god. I didn't. I knew what it was from, but she convinced me that playing on inflatables would never cause that kind of bruising unless I was really sick, so I didn't say anything. The problem is now it's been years and I'm afraid if I say something, we're going to get in trouble. And then no doctor will believe me if I do get sick someday. I don't know why I didn't say something sooner. I've been pretty sure for like 2 years that she's making most of this up, but it's confusing and I don't know. I thought maybe she was right and that I was just brushing things off. Sometimes it would feel like she was right. What can I do? Can I call the doctors? Can I tell the doctors I see that it's probably not real? Or is this going to ruin my medical care forever? I also really did have a seizure when I was 10. Okay. I was at school and there was a whole cafeteria of witnesses. So that was not made up. I don't even know what's real at this point, though. I had a high ANA. I'm not sure what ANA is. But I don't think a lot of the other symptoms that got me the connective tissue disease diagnosis were real. I'm not trying to say it's not my fault too. I should have said something sooner, but I feel stuck. Okay. This person, first of all, you are under the age of 18 and you were way under the age of 18 and you went along with what your parent was telling you. So it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And your parent has been like not just brainwashing, but like actually gaslighting you. Like that's the definition of gaslighting, like making you think something is happening that goes against the reality of what is actually happening. Um, so that's you were gaslighted. So going along with it when you're questioning what reality actually is, like that's not your fault. Good grief. Oh, ANA is anti-nuclear antibody. Okay. Huh, interesting. And Sarah says she needs to tell someone at her school. I let my 16 decide if she wants me with her at the doctor, but I doubt this mom would do that. No, I don't think this mom would do that. But on top of that, I think that this kid is probably a bit of a pushover. I suspect because like I'm not one and I never really have been. And I probably would have at this point been like, to my doctor, I would have been like, "Hey, I actually want to talk to the doctor about something. Can I talk to them alone, please?" Um, and then the doctor is kind of like required to make the parent go outside of the room, I think, because even if you're under 18, aren't you supposed to have the option to talk to the doctor without your parent present? I don't know. I know that if you ask for birth control, they're not allowed to tell your parent, I think, even if you're under 18. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. I don't know all the rules, but I thought that was the case. Um, but anyway, now that it's been years, you're afraid to say something. We are going to get into trouble. No, you might be taken out of your home, but it is abuse. It's abuse. So you have to tell someone. But yeah, I think a really good way to do it, as Sarah said, is maybe go through the school, because they are required to report um, abuse and stuff like that. So that would probably be a good thing to do. Please help me figure this out. I see a cardiologist Thursday and I want this to be over. Also, I know my BMI is low. I don't eat a lot. I'm working on it. She's probably stressed out from all the medical testing all the time. Some of the comments are from OOP. I would probably go to a doctor myself, or I probably could go to a doctor myself, but my mom won't let me because she says it's important to have an adult who can explain things and that she wants to make sure that she knows the treatment plan. I also don't go back to school until September. Is there some kind of way to signal to a doctor to ask me something alone or to make my mom sign papers or something? Could also call their office before your appointment and tell them to have some time alone with you. I don't know. Um, and this person said, if it is possible and you can sneak away for a few minutes, you can call the doctor's office and let them know in advance that you need to speak to the doctor privately without your mother present. If it's not possible for you to sneak away and make that call, I would write a small, easily hidden note before you go and keep it in your pocket. After you're in the exam room, say that you need to use the bathroom. Hand the note to literally anybody staff wise that you can encounter. Yes. Make it a point to see someone on the staff. Yeah. Even if you know where the restroom is, go ask them where it is as an excuse to pass the note. It can say something simple like, please let the doctor know I need to talk to them alone and it's urgent, but my mom won't let me. Uh, but I don't want my mom to be suspicious. Okay. So I don't know why my brain went, my mom won't let me. OOP said, thank you. I can do that. What happens? Will they just tell my mom they didn't find anything and I can be done? Or are we going to get in trouble? Is it going to make it hard if I have an issue in the future? So it shouldn't affect Munchausen's by proxy, shouldn't affect you in the future. It should affect her being allowed into your appointments, but it should not affect your medical future, your medical history overall. And this person said, I can only speak as a physician in the United States. I'm not sure if you're based in the USA, but here, once you explain what's going on to your physician, the physician is required by law to report the abuse. And make no mistake, based on what you've told us here, you are being abused. An investigation will be opened and you'll have a chance to tell investigators everything. The only one who's going to get in any trouble is your mother. You are a child. You are doing what your mother tells you to do, and everybody involved in the investigation will know that. You don't need to be worried about future visits. You will be taken seriously. Absolutely. And Sarah said, poor sweet baby. And yes, I fully agree. Poor sweet baby. Your mom needs a mental health professional. She has a mental illness and it's not one that can, and it's one that can quite literally put your life in danger. So true. Like might absolutely suck for your family for a little while, but if your mom doesn't get better, she's going to make you get worse. Reaching out to your physician on Thursday is the first step in ensuring that your mother gets the help that she needs. That is a very good point. OOP said, I'm in the USA. Does opening an investigation mean I won't live with my mom anymore, or she'll just get therapy and help? Also, I think my doctors think my weight is from the illnesses they think I have, but it's not. I'm not really eating a lot, like on purpose. And I kind of want to mention it, but is this the right time, or should I just do one thing at a time? I know we need to have more, and I'm trying, but it's not going that well. Hmm. It's probably from all the stress, yeah. To a comment calling it abuse. Abuse just feels like blowing it out of proportion. I don't know what you mean, and it's not right. It just feels like then I'm exaggerating. She's not hurting me, just pretending that I'm hurt. But some of those medications can hurt you, or possible, you know, procedures or whatever in the future. Like that could hurt you, like actually. It could even kill you. So it is abuse. It is abuse. And also all the gaslighting and stuff, that is abuse. That's a form of manipulation. It's abuse. And Sarah said, mention it at all. Yeah, exactly. Please just mention it. Just mention it. And then everything that will happen will happen. But it starts with you mentioning it. And then you can also get help for your eating disorder. A commenter said, not a doctor. She doesn't want to hurt you. She's almost certainly genuinely thinks that she's helping, but has a mental illness. As the doctor above said, you need to put your health first. And since you sound like you're concerned about her, you can support her as she gets help, and you don't have to stop loving or caring about her. OOP said, that makes me feel better too. I don't want to see her as some kind of bad guy. I just don't want to keep getting blood draws and lying to doctors. She probably has no blood left. Good grief. On eating less. I'm not trying to make myself feel sick by eating less. I'm not really sure why. I just like having something else that's mine, and she doesn't have any say in, I think. I get to choose this one thing that makes sense. So that's actually a big part of eating disorders. Is a lot of people who have them, or at least start when they start having them, a lot of times it's because it's one thing in their life that they feel they have control over. So that is actually that makes a lot of sense. Um, yeah. To a comment with some resources, I will look at the resources. I think my weight is from something else. Yeah, your own mental illness from all of this. My mom has been saying I'm having bathroom issues, and I guess I kind of am, but I think it's because of how I'm eating, not the other way around. But it's getting hard to change how I eat, even when I want to now. Like when I'm with my friends, I can't relax those rules at all. Commenter said, not a doctor, but a pharmacist. She is hurting you. You're currently taking God, this one again, hydro xychloroquine, whatever, which builds up over time and in your eyes and causes blindness. I didn't know that. Ooh. We still use it in patients with serious diseases like lupus, MCTD, whatever that is, and UCTD. Oh, is that the connective tissue disorder? Yep, that's the one. The undifferentiated connective tissue disease, I guess. Because those diseases are so severe and the risk of blindness is outweighed by the risk of organ damage, joint destruction, and death if you don't treat them. Typically, we start this medication in patients who are much older than you as well to reduce how long the patient is exposed to the whatever, that medication. You are very young, and taking this medication over time could cause serious and irreversible changes to your vision. I'm not saying this to scare you or anyone else out of taking unnecessary medication, but it sounds like in your case, there's a good chance that it's not necessary. At the very least, you deserve to know if you really have UCTD or not. If the severity of the UCTD is to the point that you need to be on the HCQ, thank you for acronizing that one, or not, and if the dose you're on is appropriate for your symptom level. You also deserve to not be blind in your 20s or 30s due to unnecessary medication use. Agreed with all of this. OOP said, I didn't know it could cause blindness. I know I started getting my eyes checked every year, but I thought it was because the disease could affect them. I mean, even if you get it checked every year, if it builds up slowly over time, then even if you get your vision checked every year, it's not going to reverse the vision problems of this if you don't stop taking it, if it's not required for you. Um, OOP adds, I know my mom watches my phone records, like who I call and text, so I'm not sure calling ahead is a good idea, but I think I'm going to write a note. Yeah. OOP adds some thoughts in a comment. Here's something else I've been thinking about since I posted. So I looked up so this is 9 hours later. I looked up some of the eating issue treatment stuff, and it looks like the main kind of therapy is family based therapy where your parents have to take over your whole diet. Ooh. And that sounds horrible to me. First of all, I think my mom would maybe like it if I had a problem, and especially if it meant she got to be in charge of everything I eat and do. Yeah, that's not going to help her mentally at all. And that sounds like a nightmare to me. And I'm thinking maybe it's better to not say anything and wait until I'm adult and can deal with it alone. I don't know what would be best here, really. Obviously, if we're turning this into an "Am I the asshole?" the mom is the asshole. But putting this lady in charge of this girl's food is definitely not, especially since the whole thing seemed to have stemmed from her trying to take control of some aspect of her life, which happened to have been food. Like, I don't think putting that control in the hands of this mother who has made up all of this stuff and taken all of that agency away from her in the first place is a good idea at all. Um, OOP's dad. Yeah, I had a feeling I was going to say this earlier, but I forgot because I have ADD. Anyway, OOP's dad. It's just me and my mom. My dad died when I was too little to remember. Do you think I can ask to go somewhere else to get better if it's too hard to do on my own? I really don't want her involved. Yeah, there are treatment facilities, especially if you are taken out of her custody at any point in time. Like, I would definitely, you should check into a facility for your eating disorder. Um, to a longer advice comment. I get what you're saying. Thank you. I do actually like the cardiologist. He's nice and has a good sense of humor and actually talks to me, not just my mom. So I feel like he's a good person to start with. I just kind of panicked seeing family based therapy. Yeah. 3 weeks later, the update. She's lost 2 pounds. Oh my God. I posted here once before because I knew my mom was lying about me being sicker than I was, and I wasn't sure how to handle it. I took everyone's advice and ended up telling them at the next appointment. After we checked in, I said I had to go to the bathroom and I left a note with a nurse. I think my doctor maybe looked at it before the appointment, actually, because it took a really long time for us to go back. And then the appointment, the doctor was asking a lot more probing questions and clarifying questions and pointing out inconsistencies, my mom said. And then he asked to talk to me by myself and my mom to be and my mom by herself too, actually. Yes, good. So I'm seeing a team of doctors now who wanted to verify some of the diagnoses that I had that and they admitted to me that, like in the hospital, um and they admitted me to do that. Okay. Like in the hospital, and there was always a nurse or someone in my room with me. I'm not 100% sure because no one actually told me this is why, but I'm guessing it was to make sure my mom didn't say or do anything to or give me anything. Is that something they'd actually do? It sounds so dramatic. No, it's important because you're being abused. It sounds so dramatic, or maybe it's normal to check things out in a hospital like that. I don't know. Anyway, they're changing some of my diagnoses now, and my mom is talking with a counselor. She still maintains that she's not doing anything to me, and I'm really sick and just getting influenced by some crime documentaries. Probably the Gypsy Rose crap. Adding, she caught me listening to the podcast for context. But things are a little better. She's not supposed to be in charge of any of my meds now. I do that myself. And I write everything I take and when in a journal so there's a record. I'm not taking any of the hydro blah 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 anymore. Thank you guys for telling me to say something. I was really afraid I was going to get in trouble, but no one was mad, not even at my mom, actually. They were nice about it, maybe a little stern, but nice. Editor's note. Wasn't sure whether to mark this as concluded or ongoing. It's concluded in the sense that OOP's initial question about how and whether or not to talk to her doctor was answered, but obviously we would still love to get more information. I am so curious because that's the end of the updates and everything. I wish it was more concluded than it is. It does say ongoing for a reason. And I guess, when was this originally posted? In 2025. So it's relatively recent. We could get another update. But overall, like, that's not a very satisfying ending, especially because she's still in her mother's custody. Like, yeah, there are certain things put in place, but I do think it's very concerning that she's still in her mother's custody and her mother's still allowed in her room at all, um, when getting any medical treatment or involved in any way. And it also sounds like her mother is, even though talking to a counselor, it doesn't mean she's actually submitting to needing help, because she's still saying that her daughter is sick when obviously she probably is not. So I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. I want more info from this poor girl. Hey Jupiter, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Sarah said, that was a good one. Thank you. Yes, I saw that one. And how many up? I think it had a lot of upvotes. One of the ones I read today had 17,000 upvotes, which, if you don't know, that's a lot. It's this one. Yeah. 17,000 upvotes in 1 year. That's a lot of upvotes. And that's not just people that saw it. That's people that voted it up after seeing it. That's like pressing the like button on YouTube when you enter into a stream. That's what doing an upvote is, basically. So, and also it detracts the amount of upvotes by downvotes. So if there's like 10,000 downvotes, then it would only be 7,000 upvotes. So that does not include the amount of people that that also downvoted it. But anyways, yeah, I do wish that there was more of a conclusion. I wish that there was like more of an answer, especially on the mom and her getting therapy and stuff. But that's pretty much it. Sorry that you're that I'm about to pretty much sign off here, Jupiter, but do feel free to go back and watch on the replay my medical journey. And if you want to skip ahead to, I guess, a little bit after the middle mark is when I start the Reddit stuff. So if you want to hear those stories, then definitely do that. Replay crew for sure. Great. Awesome. Thank you. If you haven't liked this stream, but you're still here, then please definitely do like the stream. It really helps. And yeah, I hope everyone remembers to advocate for yourself. Remember to, if you're not liking the answers from a doctor or you feel like they're not taking you seriously, please, 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 please seek a second opinion, get a different doctor. It is like so important to make sure that you are getting the diagnoses and the treatments that you need to get. And don't impose your health situations on other people like this crazy Munchausen mom did. And Sarah said, have a good night and a fab Monday. Yes. And I will see you guys on my next stream tomorrow, where I blow open this whole David Gingras thing. I didn't even realize that I was in a court filing. It's crazy. He blamed someone else for things I did in a court filing, and I didn't even realize. It must have like just gone right over my head. But I will be blowing open all of that dingus shit tomorrow in my stream. So I might do another like record ahead of time and then play it for you guys and be live in the chat. But I don't know, I might, because someone did comment that on my last video. I asked you guys for your opinion on whether I should do a pre-record, and then that way I could be live with you guys in the chat, like premiere it or whatever. I don't know how to do a premiere thing, but anyways, that's why I did it this way. But I can do that, or I can just do a flat out live stream. Just let me know what you want. I really do want your guys' opinions if I ask for them. So definitely let me know which you prefer, because then if that's the case, if you do want to do the pre-record thing, then I will do that earlier in the day and I will get that all set up and ready. And then I will, you know, do the same thing as I did today, tomorrow night on that stream. Or I can just do a flat out live like I have been. So please do let me know what you guys prefer. And yes. Thank you so much for coming to my TEDx talk, and make sure to advocate for yourselves and your loved ones, and have an amazing Sunday night. Bye, guys.